Okay, let me see if I can get set up here first. Holy shit. Mount Channel ain't showing up no more. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there it is. Holy shit. Mount Channel. All right. Okay, fun times. All right, so God, I can't even remember what the hell we were talking about yesterday on this. Oh yeah, it was the dude who said he knew about it beforehand, but there's no evidence that he actually sent a letter in saying that even though he said he sent a letter in, no evidence he actually sent the letter in that he says he sent in before JFK was killed, talking about how Lee Harvey Oswald's an assassin, he was going to kill JFK. So there's that. And then they were after some dude run down to, well, they're doing the KGB stuff. They're going after the KGB guy that was in charge of that field office in Mexico or whatever that he talked to. I think that's about all there was in that, from what I saw yesterday. Then I remember. Okay, so actually on page 3 of 2,343, which is fucking amazing. It'll take for fucking ever doing this, but here, I'll show you. This is the page we're on, page 3 out of 2,343 entries. Beautiful, beautiful. So, fun times. And I'm not very fast getting through these, so anyway, I only plan on doing an hour on this today, hopefully. I was get carried away, but we'll see. Assessment of SL larceny by FG Fork. What the fuck? Okay. Action requested. Please pass to Sidney B. Whatever prior to his tidy departure on to Montevideo. Whatever the fuck that means. Summary. This cable contains assessment data from FG Fork 86 on SL larceny 1 based on F86's observation. Okay, so can you imagine having the handle SL larceny? Observations of, I'm guessing those are handles, code names, whatever, code words, whatever. And discussion with L1 and family during their referenced, I guess, outing to Choi in early January of 94. L1 did the driving from Montevideo to Choi. What is Montevideo? I don't even know where any of this shit is. Let's see. That sounds so fake to me. Oh, it's in Uruguay. There's a place. I didn't know there's a place called Montevideo. Oh, geez. Sounds like what Blockbuster would have turned into. It's not like driving at night or in the rain. In contrast with his normally pleasant personality, he becomes aggressive and nervous behind the wheel. That's funny. While families were staying together in a rather small beach house, L1 and his wife got into a fight. She appeared to be the instigator. F86's wife later talked to L1's wife in private. So is this how they redacted things? They just called them L1 and F86. Fun times. Said she blames L1 because when L1 divorced his previous wife, he gave her his apartment. Thus, L1 and his current wife will not have their own place to live when they eventually return to Cuba. That is why, during their previous trip to Cuba from Uruguay, L1 and his wife built an extra room into the house of Mrs. L1 parents in Guaynabo. Let's see, Miss L1 said that L1 is muy consumista, whatever that means, i.e., a compulsive shopper. That's what it means. And that she has to control him when they go to the supermarket because L1 always buys too much. Miss L1 explained that L1 grew up in a very poor family. That's why he now buys too much of everything. She also criticized. Why am I reading this? What is this? Criticized L1 for spoiling their children, his older daughter, previous marriage, by giving them whatever they asked for. Miss L1 has a poor relationship with the older daughter. She added that L1's relationship with his two grown sons is good, but somewhat distant. Excuse me. F86 personally observed L1's compulsive shopping when they all went to Choi on 8th of January. Both L1 and his wife bought a large number of items to send to their family in Cuba. At one point, L1 told his wife that he would do the buying and she should be the housewife. Miss L1 called him a dumb Spaniard. Oh, Gallego Bruto. Okay. F86 suspects that L1 and his wife have other problems, possibly due to L1's infidelity. Ooh. During their spats, Miss L1 was usually the aggressor, with L1 trying to keep peace or simply remain quiet. Miss L1 also got into arguments with some of the Palestinian merchants in Choi. Oh, those Palestinians. Those wacky Palestinians. One other aspect of L1's family, which F86 found disagreeable, was behavior of L1's older daughter. F86 and his wife were both offended by daughter's frequent sexual references in front of F86's younger children. F86 said that L1's daughter acted just like a Cuban hooker. Okay. On a more elevated plane, F86 also had some private philosophical and political discussions with L1. In response to F86's direct question, L1 said that the writers who had influenced him the most are Marx, Hegel, and Kant. Oh, great. It means he's a fucking moron. L1 said that Lenin's main achievement was to recognize need for only one party. Okay. L1 considers Lenin to have been an interpreter of Marx, but not a great theoretician. To some extent, L1 defended Lenin's so-called law of economic prudence. Dude, okay, that's kind of hypocritical. A means of economic planning, which Lenin unsuccessfully attempted to implement in the USSR. After Lenin's death, it became excessively bureaucratized. Bureaucratized. Yeah, it is bureaucratized and atrophied. Although this system did work with some success in Bulgaria. L1 also acknowledged need for neoliberal medicine to reform Cuban economy because there is no other solution. What is neoliberal medicine? L1 added, however, that reforms should be instituted with minimum social and political costs. While states should not be excessively interventionist in the economy, L1 wants state to retain its protective social role because market economy also has its faults. Who the fuck is this guy? Why do we care about what his opinions are politically? L1 talked about assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Okay, here we go. According to L1, in 1969, L1 personally saw Fidel Castro receive a group of U.S. radicals. Castro talked to them for 2 hours about why just one assassin could not possibly have killed Kennedy. All right. Castro ordered a reenactment of the crime using his best marksmen, and they could not duplicate what Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly did by himself. L1 said that 3 groups were involved in killing the president. 1 group of Cubans, 1 group of mafiosos, and a 3rd group of mercenaries. Third group included a man with a Greek name. L1 told F-86 that it is not known whether any of these groups ever had any connection with PN Infinite. In this regard, F-86 reported to station that L1 is always careful not to attack PN Infinite when F-86 is present. Station reporting additional info from F-86 separately. Okay, sounds like somebody heard something say something, and that somebody supposedly saw something back in the day about something. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're going through a lot of shit here because that's kind of hot trash. Heard some guys talk about a conspiracy in Cuba with Castro. All right. Why this shit was classified, I have no idea. Let's see. I don't know what this is. What was the date through 63? I was going to say this is definitely a typewriter. Square preliminary checks on record conversations reveal following. No trace. 1952 dark blue Buick belonging to Soviet or bloc installation. CNBR or Sydney. No license plate identical to one mentioned, but following NSW variants checked, CCC 012 1960 Vauxhall, two-tone blue, Herman Satrapinski. Okay, so this is the guy that owns it. In 1949 standard, 1949 standard. I don't know what a 1949 standard is. I'm trying to think. I wish I knew what it was, man. That's could be a Buick or something. I don't know. Fawn, Williams, John Sims. Okay. Let's see. 1960 Holden beige. Okay. No identifiable info on Aussie mentioned. Let's see. Fraser's mentioned same reference. R Alps AOPM. First Secretary Possible IDW. R Willie. I don't care. Has a mustache. Russian capability not known to Square. Not noticeably close to Soviets. CNBR. Dude, yeah, I hate all the abbreviations. But I get it. This is a cable, right? That's what it seems like. Square has arranged with PMG liaison officer Ted Young. Trace any further calls made. Embassy in close contact. Square rep CNBR. Will advise further developments. HQS requested information on the Polish driver connected with the Russian diplomatic establishment in Australia. Huh. Not really sure where that one's going. I don't know what I just read there. It looks like they had a license plate to check, and they're looking for it. But this is in Melbourne? Oh, okay, that's why I don't know what these fucking cars are. So they're looking for something from the Russian embassy? Possibly. They're looking for a Polish driver connected with the Russian diplomat. Well, the Russian diplomatic establishment in Australia. I don't know. Not quite sure what they're looking for there. Oh, God, this will be fun. Holy shit. So Might be one of those articles I was looking for. Let's see. Let's square this up. Let's see. Do not reproduce. Return to CIA. NX, the 201 system. NXB Chapter 3, CSHB 70-1-1, 27th of October 1966. So after Kennedy's dead, but before his brother, the 201 system provides a method for identifying a person in specific interest to the operations directorate and for controlling and filing all pertinent information about that person. The system also provides a means for identifying subjects of 201 files from various categories of information about them and for producing lists of 201 personalities according to these categories. Only a relatively small number of personalities indexed are of sufficient interest to justify opening a 201 dossier. These are normally subjects of extensive reporting and CIA investigation, prospective agents and sources, members of groups and organizations of continuing target interest, or subjects on whom a volume of correspondence has accumulated. Okay. The 201 system. The principal features of the 201 system are the 201 number, a unique number, i.e. 201-123, assigned to each individual in the system to serve as identifying file number for reporting on that individual. That's interesting. So I wonder if you could just FOIA straight up. Well, you probably could, but this is the CIA. CIA don't give up shit. Oh, no, it's FBI. These are FBI files. So 201, and then you can just say, I want to file on 201-1, see what the first person was. 201 dossier, the official file containing the 201 opening form 831, and all biographic reporting on any references to the individual, i.e. personal history, current status, and prospects. Master 201 records, a machine record generated by the opening of the 201 file. The record produces the master 201 reference for the main index and stores the pertinent information, which may later be retrieved for special listings. Main index master 201 reference. This reference printed the reply index search request is printed as illustrated below. The data are absent within the record. Succeeding data items or lines will be moved up. I don't want to know what the protocol is. I want to know what the fuck is actually going on with this. More protocol, sex, date of birth, city. Let's see, type and name. Subject recently attended the 17th annual conference of the International Association of Chemists and Pharmacists held in Munich, Germany. Okay. So that's just William Pendleton, Croy. So he's number 2. So he's 0002. Wonder who 0001 is. Occupation, text, let's see, document, let's see. Let's see, okay. This won't tell you much. OI code, 2-letter symbol used in conjunction with the 201 personality records of the 201 system to record the association of an individual with organizations or activities of operational interest. OI codes cover intelligence and security service affiliation. Okay. Whether staff or agent or known or suspect, as well as activities of DDO interest. There are 2 categories of OI codes for use by components. General OI codes, attachment 4. OI codes assigned to a specific component for intelligence services or other specific organizations. Sounds like that's important. A component may request an OI code be established by submitting a memorandum to the DDO RMO through the Component Records Management Officer. The 201 personality may be assigned 2 OI codes. An OI code may be assigned when the 201 personality file actually requests is initiated by filing in box 13 for a code, may be assigned or added at a later date by form 831. Yeah, okay. 201 system has capability of producing machine listings of 201 personalities by OI codes. For example, if an OI code has been opened for the security service of a certain country, a listing may be compiled of all members of that service. So this is how they kept track of people. That's how they found them terrorists back in the day. Let's see. Produced 201 machine lists produced from mechanized 201 index based on names and other identifying information of personalities whom 201 dossiers exist. Opening a 201 dossier. General. The opening of a 201 dossier is a prerogative of an operational component in coordination with the Information Services Group. An opening creates a master 201 record, changes the master record, and the occasional closing of a 201 dossier are controlled jointly by the desk and ISG. 201 dossiers may be opened on persons who meet the carding criteria described in Chapter 2 of this handbook. They got question marks next to it, like, what the fuck does it mean? When there is reasonable expectation that an additional information will be acquired and filed in such dossier. General dossiers are open on persons about whom counterintelligence information is being reported and persons of operational interest to the Operations Directorate. Specifically, those persons of whom provisional operation approvals and operational approvals are requested. 201 files are not to be opened on staff employees. Yeah, sure. Staff agents and most categories of contact employees. And that's page, let's see, that is page 25. And we've only had 3 pages, so that's a lot of this was cut out. Thank God, because I don't want to read that much of this shit. November 1974, persons who are only of local interest to a field station or headquarters desk and of whom no DDO records correspond exists are not part of the DDO record system and are to be maintained by that unit. Some desks levy requirements on ISG for automatic 201 openings on certain categories of persons whose names appear in incoming dispatches. These are listed attachment 2, 201 dossiers should be opened in the following categories. Subjects of provisional operation approval and operational approval requests. Dude, this is so lame. Yeah, this is so lame. You can only open it if this and that and this and that. But I mean, most of this says nothing, dude. What is subject of provisional operational approval? What does that even fucking mean? An operation approval request. What does that even fucking mean? That means like it could be an operational subject, but it needs approval. Why don't you just say approval? Fucking shit. However, a file need not be open when a POA is requested for persons being trained for a foreign liaison service and who are of operational interest for training purposes only. Person for whom the field requests a 201 opening. Let's see, dossiers should be open for the following. Okay, well, all right. MH fixture personalities, bona fide diplomats of other than denied area countries, close association with staff personnel, subject's personal record, questionnaire part 1, person on whom the main index search reveals information. There's 5 more documents. What does this got to do with, fuck, man? Subject of interagency source register memorandum. Why is this in the freaking JFK file? This looks like a symptom of the assassination, not a cause for it. But whatever. Maybe there's something down below. Headquarters desk may open a 201 file by filling out and submitting a 201 personality file action request to the records maintenance section. Form 831 is also used to create or amend the master 201 record and 201 machine listings and to register the assignment of a cryptonym to a 201 personality. Attached 3 consists of sample 201 personality file action request for opening And amending 201s. A field station may request the opening of a 201 file by writing 201 in the headquarters file for or cross-reference box on the dispatch form. And or after the see, this is why nothing gets fucking done, dude. Nothing gets done. This is all the shit you got to go through to just get a freaking file on somebody. This is so fucking stupid. Oh my god. Oh shit. Okay. Focus. Telepouch request for a 201 opening is made by indicating 201 in the file number line. A cable request is made by placing 201 after the term file on the last line of the transmission. IPAN will open 201 files as requested by dispatch or telepouch, but it is the responsibility of the desk to respond to cable requests. Field stations are notified of 201 openings through receipt of the Field Master 201 record. What the fuck, man? That is so much work. 1940. I guess computers probably knocked all this shit out, so that's a good thing. Contents of the dossier. Information about 201 personality should be filed or cross-referenced into his dossier. When additional information is discovered on 201 subject through a name trace or other process, i.e. review of predecessor documents, it must be consolidated into his personality dossier. Okay. Material which is filed in the dossier includes, but is not limited to, 201 personality file action requests, biographic information, including photographs, fingerprints, and handwriting. Okay, so is this the file that they in Hollywood that they throw on the desk with your fucking picture and all that fucking writing in it when they're questioning a person? Personal record, questionnaire, operational and other security approvals, name check, replies, requests, clearances, and approvals, acknowledgement of pseudonym, 201 personality assessments, evaluation, copy of contract, termination papers, secrecy agreement, agent duty status report, training and evaluations, whatever report, newspaper clippings. Yeah, it is. Any information which helps provide a better understanding of the subject and our interest in him. This may include operational reporting. Yeah, good times. Maintenance of 201 dossiers. The 201 personality dossier contains in document date order papers which have been made a part of central record system as well as those which have not. Record documents may range from newspaper or magazine articles on the subject to finance and other administrative papers. I wonder if Paddock has one of these. I mean, if they're still using this, he would. Purging a 201 dossier is the responsibility of the desk officer. It requires discrimination in recognizing operationally useful material rather than simple distinction between official and unofficial papers. It will therefore take place under the supervision of a records officer. Purging should be done periodically. 201 dossier being forwarded to central files for retention should be purged. Okay. A 201 dossier should be purged of the following: duplicate material, exact copy of document, name trace form, unless it has been the basis for opening, all abstract slips, all document restriction notices, the disseminated version of positive intelligence information if the copy of the raw report is contained in the 201 file. The dissemination number then must be transferred to the first page of the raw report. Oh my God, all these fucking rules. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. This is some gripping shit right here. Just a heads up. Let's see, routing. This is the JFK files, but all they're talking about is procedure for. Basically, it looks like they're starting that whole system of creating files on people. Let's see, routing slips, routing and record sheets, dispatch cover sheets, and listers, remarks such as coordinations or comments. Record copy documents, which only repeat substantive information contained in the documents of the file. Authorization for destruction is by records officer. Top secret documents are not to be retained in a 201 dossier forwarded to central files. The document must be downgraded for retention in the 201 dossier. To downgrade a top secret document, an authorization officer in the originating office for the records officer having jurisdiction over the contents of the material must possess top secret classification authority. If the document cannot be downgraded, the file should be obtained at the desk, or the copy of the TS document should be removed, retained in a desk TS file, or forwarded to top secret control officer, and a cross-reference sheet placed in the 201 file giving the location of the TS document. Top secret. Okay, deferred documents. Maintenance procedures. Fuck, man. I got to read the whole handbook on 201 forms. Oh, it sucks. Oh, we need some Vegas shit, man, because it sucks. Maintenance procedures. All material in the 201 dossier will be filed in document date order in case of document attachments which have been classified in a 201 dossier and separated from the base document by the assignment of a slash number. The attachment will be filed by the date of the basic document. Deferred documents will not be filed in a 201 dossier. If they are to be retained in a dossier, they should be sent to IPRMS for classification into the 201. Field index cards held by some desks and area desk cards may be retained in the 201 as part of the consolidation procedure. These cards should be mounted on a full-size sheet of paper for filing in the 201. Oh, God. A 201 dossier previously opened on a person who becomes a staff employee and which contains record copy documents will be restricted to the ISG DIP unless the desk retains the restriction. Dossier should be closed if there are no record copy documents in it. Let's see. 201 opened in pseudonym should be consolidated into the true name 201 if one exists, or controverted to the true name. Field duplicate, shadow, 201 files no longer of active interest should be incorporated into the official 201 after duplicate material has been purged by desk officer and the remaining information classified to the 201 by the analysis section. Any document with a predecessor organization cover sheet or an OPC, Office Policy Coordination cover sheet from the archives and deposition section, which is what that IPARD is, right? Must be returned to them for processing in the 201. Desk memoranda with or without. What's this got to do with Kennedy? What the fuck, man? Desk memoranda with or without document source number contains substantive or derogatory information on the subject of the 201 should be sent to IPAN to be classified officially in the 201 file. An attachment which should be separated from its basic document for inclusion in 201 personality dossier will be forwarded with the basic document for IPAN for processing into the 201. To retain the P&L, RIBAT, or KPOC sensitivity of a document retaining in a 201 dossier being retired to central files, place the document in an envelope sealed with black tape. Any RIBAT, P&L, or KPOC, whatever that means, documents sent to central files not in black taped envelope will automatically be handed as desensitized. A black taped envelope may contain only one document and must be filed in chronological order within the file. Fuck. Oh, God, thank God. I never wanted to work for these guys. If there are numerous documents of this type, the desk officer may black tape the entire dossier rather than individual documents. Okay. Black tape dossiers or dossiers with black tape documents will be handled as restricted dossiers. An inactive 201 dossier or an inactive volume of large 201 dossier on permanent change should be returned in central files under a routing and record sheet with the notation shown below. Oh. Yeah, I agree with you. There's probably some good stuff in here. But yeah, this is just a fucking nightmare trying to get through this stuff. Oh, okay. So these are What is this? Wait. This is actually kind of interesting. An inactive 201 dossier or an inactive volume under a routing and record sheet with a notation shown below. So this is a routing and record sheet. So this is for that because we've looked. Excuse me. We've looked at some of these. So we're kind of going back, and they're explaining what we kind of just looked at somewhat. But I don't care about any of this. I don't know. Um, I mean, there's been some good stuff already, but it's like everything I'm seeing so far, even like online with people talking about this, like who've actually read more of this than me, it seems like what you got is you got a lot of conspiracy. This guy said this, therefore, the CIA had something to do with it. This guy said the mafia was involved, so therefore the mafia must have been involved. It's like a letter we read yesterday about the guy who said that he he wrote a letter saying that Lee Harvey Oswald was going to assassinate Kennedy. Uh, that was interesting, but they didn't have the letter that he wrote. Therefore, we don't know if he actually wrote that letter. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, whatever. 201 dossier may be kept on permanent change at desk during any period of active interest. If the dossier is transferred to another desk, the desk officer who is transferring the dossier must notify Central Files of the transfer. Central Files will then send notice of the transfer of document or file accountability to the new action desk officer. And okay, so confidential notice of transfer document or file. Okay. I mean, if you gave a shit, this is kind of cool, but I don't care about any of this. So it's like, it's not cool. The new action desk, because I mean, it's showing you what all these forms are that we're reading throughout this nonsense. But this system, I think it says 1974 on this thing. So I think this was started in 1974. The new action desk officer must then fill out a two. But can you imagine, like, working for this shit? Like, every time you wanted to put something in one of these stupid files, you'd have to go into this manual and figure out how you were supposed to put this into the file, which dipshit you're supposed to talk to about, making it non-secret or whatever the hell you had to do with it. Putting a piece of black tape on an envelope, otherwise you get in trouble, you get penalized for it. It's like, what the fuck, man? Let's see. The new action desk officer must then fill out a 201 personality file action request form to change the action desk designation to ensure that the 201 personality will be included in the headquarters and or field machine listings for his component. It's a lot of freaking nonsense. This is how our government operates. This is how it works. This is how the sausage is made. This is why shit is fucked up. So you restrict the dossier's access to a sensitive 201 dossier may be restricted by holding the file at the desk or placing it on restriction in Central Files. The dossier may be restricted by checking box 2 on the 201 personality action request when the file is open. Oh, is that all it takes? You want to fucking make something restricted? All you gotta do is check that fucking box and fuck it. File's done. Crazy. Dossier may be restricted by holding it on permanent charge from Central Files. Note, to maintain the restriction of the dossier being returned to Central Files for retention, a file restriction notice, Form 2021, must accompany the dossier. The dossier may be restricted and held in Central Files by submitting a file restriction notice. Jesus Christ. These people, man. Holy shit. Access to a restricted dossier located in Central Files limited to the personnel of the restricting desk or persons authorized by that desk. Any request for the charge of a restricted dossier or any document with a restricted dossier held in Central Files will be forwarded to the entire dossier and a multiple routed cover sheet with the restricting desk. The desk may then forward the file to the requester or deny the request and return the dossier to Central Files. The desk will notify the requester of the denial. Okay. Early FOIA, I guess, system works about the same. They just deny everything. Anyone requesting a restricted dossier or a document within a restricted dossier permanently or temporarily charged to a desk will be referred to that desk by Central Files. Of course, that's not how FOIA works, but um, dude, they're just going through the book. Just going through the book. I'm reading their freaking manual. Request for information on 201 person. I'm reading a manual from 1974 on how the FBI operates. It's stupid. I think it's FBI. For all I know, this could be the freaking Australian service. I don't fucking know. They haven't mentioned the FBI in this. The automated index section, I don't think it is. I think it's us. I do think it's us. If the CIA had eyes on Oswald before the day, then they know he'd be 100 yards from JFK. If the CIA had eyes on Oswald before the day, then they knew he'd be 100 yards away from JFK. Well, I don't know if they. Well, I see what you're saying. You just, I mean, when I first read it, I'm like, what? Wait. They would have known he was in that book's depository, and probably, from what I've read about, what I've seen from people, every ex Secret Service guys coming out of the woodwork to talk about this on YouTube. And from what most of them are kind of having a consensus with is if they were actually watching him, if they were doing their job and they were actually watching this guy who was a communist sympathizer at that point, known, and was supposedly, I mean, shit, the KGB were smart enough to watch this guy. And the Americans weren't, once he came back. But what everyone's saying is, like, if they're really watching them, they're doing their job, everyone's doing their job, including the Secret Service, they would have changed the route. They wouldn't have drove down that street. They may not have flushed out Oswald, because they may not have had a reason to, but they would have at least rerouted the motorcade. So, which would have saved them. But then who knows what would have happened, the next time he decided to take the top down and drive down the street. The automated index section will provide the identity of the subject of a 201 number unless 201 file is restricted, in which case the requester will be referred to the restricting desk. The interesting thing about this whole thing is, like, it's wondering, like, why did they hold on to this so fervently? Like, as much as they wanted to hold on to this, they were so just adamant about not letting any of this shit out. That's what's interesting about this. IPAIS, because, I mean, the truth is, like, even though this is just, one guy, got killed, this is a way bigger deal than Vegas. Everybody you talk to that was alive when JFK was killed says they remember exactly where they were when they found out JFK was killed. Kind of like 9/11. Everybody remembers, that event, and so you can put those kind of on the same plane, I would think, and not to be, no pun intended with that, but, same thing with Pearl Harbor, all these events that are so memorable that you remember it, everybody in the States remembers exactly where they were the moment they found out the information about that. Those are huge events. And the fact that they were able to keep this quiet that long, that's kind of fucked up. So it's interesting to see, like, why did you guys care enough to hide this from the public as long as you did? I understand, like, stuff like, Vegas. I mean, it's fairly new, it's kind of weird. This guy came in and just started fucking rifling off rounds out of a hotel window, and it's something that could happen once again. It's like not really that far out of the realm of possibility, thinking that the casinos haven't changed enough to stop something like that from happening. But something like this, it's like, this is old shit, man. Should have been out a long time ago, and everybody wanted to know about this. And even in this, like, what was interesting about the first couple pages of this, because I haven't been that far, I haven't gone that far into this, but first couple pages of this, like, what was interesting to me is that they're questioning the Warren Commission. You had people, questioning, well, they're questioning the CIA after the fact of the information that the CIA was given to the Warren Commission as being false. So, like, there's people within, I guess, I don't know if this is all FBI, asking these questions, but there's people within this that were conspiracy theorists by their own, wording. And we're trying to figure out, what was wrong with the Warren Commission. See, requests pertaining to 5 or fewer names or numbers may be made by telephone by calling the IPAS red line extensions. I don't care. IPAS will provide the information by return call to the requester's extension as listed in the badge table. Requests for more than 5 names or numbers must be listed and sent by tube or courier to IPAS. IPAS will reply by return mail. Dossier cancellation. 201 file may be authorized for cancellation by a records officer after appropriate coordination. The file should be forwarded to IPRMS, which will destroy the folder and the cards leading to it and remove the name and number from machine lists. Any record copy document contained in the folder will be reclassified to another appropriate file or sent to the destruction unit as directed by the desk records officer. That'd be a fun job. Trying to reclassify everything, put everything in different. I don't know. People just sound like crazy librarians. Machine listing. Machine listings provide field stations and headquarters desks with names and 201 numbers in the requester's particular geographic or functional area of interest. If a component wishes to exclude a sensitive 201 personality from its alphabetic, numeric, and cryptonym listing, this may be done when opening the 201 or later by a 201 amendment. On the 201 personality file, action request, leave the country of location and interest desk blank. Use the non-country code 900 in the action box. What the fuck, man? This is why the government runs like shit. And indicate permanent change to the responsible desk. The only listing which will include the 201 number is the IP 201 record for the vital records program. 201 listings are categorized as standard and non-standard and as scheduled or special. It's people more worried about paperwork than actually doing anything. Standard listing issued semi-annually to headquarters and the field based on components interest in as indicated in the action desk, country of location, and interest desk. Blocks on 201 personality file, action request form, whatever. The standard listings are available alphabetical by surname. Okay, yeah. Here's your library card. Yeah, there's your library card. That's how you're finding shit. It's crazy. And how racist is this shit? They use chin. Chin and chin. Is that chin? Looks like chin. Chin and chin. Fucking a million chin listings. I question shots. 2 hits out of 3 and quick time moving target with a shitty rifle. I guess it's possible. Well, according to, which was one of the things that was kind of interesting, I guess, that I went through yesterday. According to the Russians, supposedly they said that he was a shitty shot when he went to Russia. And yeah, they said he wasn't a very good marksman. And supposedly, I think it said in his, I think it was in here, it said while he was in the Marine Corps. Oh, no, that was off the Wikipedia page. So it's probably going to be in here somewhere. When he was in the Marine Corps, he was he originally was on low end of being a sharpshooter, which I guess is the highest. And then later he redid it and he ended up on the high end of marksman, which is below sharpshooter. I don't know. Whatever that means, I don't know. I was never in the military. All standard listings are cumulative. Previous editions must be destroyed upon receipt of current conditions or editions. These listings are, by very nature, extremely sensitive compilations of information and must be given every possible safeguard. And the other thing was the shots. Like, I think I watched something where they were shown like a reenactment or whatever, and they said he had like 8 seconds. It was 8 seconds to get those shots off. So he did have time. It wasn't that big of a deal. And then uh, what was the other thing? They said it was weird about it though, is he waited for the car to get in front of a tree so that his first shot hit a tree or something, hit the tree that was in front of the books depository. So, or depository, whatever. Um, that was weird. I don't know, just strange. Um, B, non-standard listings based on one or more of the following selection criteria: country of location, OI code, citizenship. God, dude, enough with the 201 forms. Jesus, it's like TPS reports from Office Space. These selection criteria may be used singly or in combinations. For example, a user obtain a list of all 201 personalities who have been assigned the OI code of XS or codes XX, XY, or XZ. A 201 personality list could also be produced of all persons who were born in Germany between the years 1915 and 1920. Oh, that's fucked up. So basically, they call them Nazis. With the occupation computer specialists who are now citizens of the United States, located in Mexico, and who had been assigned the OI code of AA. Note, however, that the listings would contain only those personalities with an OI code AA. Those personalities with an OI code other than AA, those with no OI code, would be excluded. Fuck, man. The requester could, however, ask that the persons who have not been assigned an OI code also be included. Note also that when retrieving lists based on occupation, the listing will be only specific as the occupation code. The occupation code for a courier covers only a documented courier. Some occupation codes cover more than one occupation. For example, the occupation code CRAF covers those who practice some trades or manual occupation: carpenters, bricklayers, painters, mechanics, electricians. If a list is requested for electricians, all others in this category will be included in the printout. These non-standard listings may be sorted, arranged according to any, but not more than 3 of the following keywords: surname, given name, date of birth, country of birth, citizenship, OI code, location. So that's how you look it up if you're working for the FBI. Let's see, strange how they tracked him down after quick like and knew it was him. Do you know the time frame from shots to arrest? No, I don't. I'm to be completely honest, I can figure it out. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we could look that up. Be more interesting than what I'm reading. Um, let's see. Lee Harvey Oswald, the man accused of assassinating President Kennedy, was arrested approximately 7 minutes after Kennedy and Governor Connally were shot. Let's see. The timeline is President Kennedy was shot at 12:30. He's pronounced dead at 1 o'clock. At 1:50 p.m., Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested. He was apprehended by the Dallas Police Department, charged with murder of patrolman J.D. Tippett. Oswald is being held for the assassination. Oswald is being arrested in, Texas Theater. So 1:50. So he, 70 minutes later. I don't even know how far the theater was from, to be honest with you. Let's see. Let's get that off the screen. Okay. Let's see. Sorts can be made with sorts within sort. Oh my God. For example, 201 personalities may be sorted alphabetically by surname with an OI codes for given countries of location. Because two OI codes may be listed for each personality, those names with two OI codes would be listed twice. Scheduled listings, standard and non-standard listings printed semi-annually. Unscheduled, usually non-standard listing produced on a one-time basis in response to special operation requirements. Yeah, who cares? Request for listing. All requests for standard or non-standard, alphabetical or numerical 201 listings in the headquarters and field for changes in periodic listings and for information. A 201 machine list system should be made to the component records management officer. Oh my God, procedure. This is like 30 something pages, man, I think, and I'm only at 15. This sucks. Again, 1974, the Vietnam War was kind of happening. It was kind of a thing at this point, just kind of still underground. Wait, no, 74, Vietnam War was in full swing at this point. Um, no, 201 files will be opened automatically by IPAN on the following categories. Of course, this 201 form could have been a thing before 1974, and this could be just be them finally either putting it in writing, updating the procedures, or something of that nature. I don't know when this started. Arab Republic of Egypt, diplomats with rank of third secretary above, military attaches and assistant military attaches, intelligence officers of the General Intelligence Department. Prior to opening of an ARE 201 file, check with NE for correct spelling of name and additional biographic data. British Commonwealth also positively identified members of MI5, MI6, the British Intelligence Services, all positively identified members of the Irish Military Intelligence Service, Canadian Communist Party officials on national or provincial levels, and officials of the Canadian Communist Party front organizations. Do not open unless there is at least a date of birth given. All members of the security services of Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Cuba, intelligence service employees. Israel, oof, here we go. All Israeli diplomats should be indicated as the originating office, always indicated as a secondary office of interest. Military attaches, assistant military attaches, identified intelligence officers. North Vietnam, all diplomats and PRG officials stationed abroad. USSR, all Soviets assigned PCS to an official representation installation, embassy, consulate, commercial representation, national airline office, news media office. All Soviets assigned to PCS assigned PCS to the United Nations in New York, Paris, Geneva, and Vienna. Audio technicians, after coordination with the is that I don't know, SC, it wasn't Southeast, it was something else, I think. Students who will be studying abroad for a full academic year at institutions of higher learning. Holy shit, yeah, they watched the Russians. Except they didn't watch Oswald, who came from Russia. Let's see. So 1960, Clandestine Services Handbook. Oh shit, here we go. This will be interesting. That's how they worked in the 60s. Okay, so 201 form. So they were around in the 60s. So yeah, I guess I was kind of right about that. A relatively small proportion of the total number of personalities indexed by the CS are. Oh no, it's only 19 pages. Thank God this thing's almost done. These are normally subjects of extensive reporting and CI investigation, prospective agents and sources, and members of groups and organizations of continuing target interest. Each of these personalities is assigned either a 201 number or an IDN number. The 201 number serves a dual purpose. It brings the files on these personalities into CS record systems. A single number is assigned to each person. Dossier are controlled by this number is established, which contains or as cross-reference it to it all the reporting the individual's personal history, current status, and prospects. I think we already read this. Once a 201 number is assigned, it is used in future reporting on the individual both as a file number and in place of other identifying data. Up-to-date machine listings are published periodically to help field stations and headquarters desks keep books on those 201 personalities falling in a particular geographic or functional area of interest. It's become apparent that 201 machine listings should include the identities of persons of operational interest because of their connection with a target group or organization, even though there may not be sufficient information or specific interest to warrant opening a file. For example, a considerable number of stations are concerned with the activities of Cuban exiles. Coverage of their movements, factions, and objectives can be assisted by furnishing all participating stations up-to-date listings containing information under the control of the Cuban desk on the Dramatis Personae. That sounds fucking lame. That's like something out of Warhammer. In addition to 201 personalities, such list should contain names and identifying data of persons who should be kept track of, although they may only be of tangential interest or on whom there may be little or no data other than that given in the listing itself. Shit, I'm starting to go squirrely here. I got one more page. To accommodate this type of requirement in the 201 system, identifiable personalities concerning whom enough information is not yet available to require the opening of a file may be assigned numbers of the following type, but in the same series. Okay. These are relabeled 201 if a file is open. IDN numbers are carried with 201 numbers in appropriate general or special listings where they're identified by the letter I in the type of name column. IDN numbers are not CS file numbers. All 201 code numbers are assigned by RID at headquarters, either upon receipt of Form 831 or of a field dispatch. If a dispatch is written about a personality not yet in the system, a 201 number for it may be requested. Yeah. Okay. IDN numbers are assigned by RID at headquarters upon the request of stations or desks, which are developing special identification programs within the 201 system. The field receives current notification of a new 201 opening and IDN numbers through the field index card service. Whew. Stations or branches often are concerned with personalities, not of general CS concern. Files on these may be kept in any desired orders. Should such personalities become of general CS interest, they must be brought into the 201 system. Yeah, I got to read. I got to go back and watch the JFK movie. The thing yesterday they were talking to this guy who is basically. I don't know if you listened to what I read through yesterday. Not what I did, but what I just straight read through. But they were talking to a guy, and that dude was he was saying he had some information, and he put it in a newspaper, and it sounded like the government started fucking with them. And so he basically fucked all the information up. So he looked non-credible. But he was warning of something. And he was saying he had some information on the assassination. But then he also said, at the end of it, he said something about it. It's the same information I gave to whatever his name was that did that, the JFK film. Which is kind of interesting. gives it some credence. I mean, he had somebody, some whistleblower supposedly, you know, as his reference for that. So this is not one of those forums, right? Doesn't look like one. Um, Chief of Station, whatever JM Wave is. Special activities report on JM Wave's relationship with AM Carbon. Jeez, all these code names, man. What the fuck? Introduction and rate in reference E. JM Wave forward a review of the nature of its relationship to AM Carbon. This review indicates that the relationship with AM Carbon evolved from that action, which was taken in September 1962, and to ensure that a security breach would not occur as a result of an investigation, which was being carried out by the Identity One relative to the fact that the establishment of the Identity Two was being kept from Yowelt South Campus as a result of security restrictions, which were in some way related to JM Dusk. While the relationship with AM Carbon stemmed from the remedial action which had been taken in a crisis situation, the establishment of a working relationship with the Identity 3 was an objective which JM Wave had always hoped to obtain. As a matter of fact, in reference A, the recommendation was made that JM Wave be given approval to contact the major South Florida news media and attempt to work out a relationship with these news media which would ensure that they did not turn the public publicity spotlight on those Kubark activities in South Florida, which might come to their attention. Oh, okay, you've been watching. You're the only one watching, man, because nobody, nobody in I guess my circle that pays attention to me still, which is very few at this point. But I mean, yeah, most people don't care about the JFK thing. The but yeah, the reason I'm doing these, really, to be honest with you, is just it's making me go through them. I want to go through all this stuff, or I want to try to get through some of it. I mean, geez, I don't know if I'll get through everything, but it's kind of interesting to go through it, for myself. And I can always go back and listen to what I was thinking at the time and stuff like that. So let's see. Thus, when a relationship was established with AM Carbon, it was carefully cultivated in order that JM Wave might be able to use its contact at the Identity 3 as a means of achieving the objective of having a relationship with Identity 3, which would simultaneously ensure the security of JM Wave's operation and give JM Wave an outlet into the press, which could be used for surfacing certain select propaganda items. Great. Yeah, and I think, I don't remember if the guy from that I was reading about last night, if he was if that was a Florida newspaper or not. I don't remember. Do I still have it? No, I don't have it. I don't have it typed up still, or I don't have it up still. I don't think. Fear and Loathing assassination article, Denver. No, it was in Denver. That was a Denver, Colorado publication. Let's see. So he's got 5 newspapers. So they're watching the press here, man. It's crazy. So, like, I mean, it's interesting. They're watching the press for. This is back when you had real reporters, right? So the reporters were actually getting like scoops and shit. It's interesting to think that that's how journalism used to work, and how far they've gone. Now, if it's not on Twitter, they don't report about it. In the period of October to, they've gotten really lazy. October to December 1962, all of JM Wave's business with the Identity 3 was handled via AM Carbon. In mid-December 1962, AM Carbon made the suggestion that he introduce Rootman to AM Carbon in order that there be a backup contact in the event that AM Carbon were out of town or unavailable at such times as Rootman might require assistance from Identity 3. Rootman agreed to AM Carbon's suggestion, and as a result, AM Carbon hosted a luncheon on 12th of December 1962 at the Miami Club in Hotel Columbus, Miami, Florida, at which AM Carbon introduced AM Carbon to Rootman. Oh, AM Carbon 2 versus AM Carbon 1. Who cares? These names are silly. As a result of this, and I mean, this sounds like a way of redacting shit without redacting shit, because they're putting names down. They don't have to redact nothing because it's AM Carbon. You're never going to know who AM Carbon is. As a result of this initial meeting on 12th December, an operational relationship has developed with AM Carbon 1, and it is believed that this relationship contributes to the fulfillment of the overall JM Wave mission. In view of this, a special activities report is being submitted to cover the nature of JM Wave's relationship with AM Carbon during the period December 1962 to March of 1964. Spying on the media, Holmes. That's crazy. Frame of reference for JM Wave's relationship with AM Carbon 1. When AM Carbon 2 introduced AM Carbon 1 to Rootman, AM Carbon 2 reviewed the ground rules under which he had been cooperating with Rootman. This review was conducted for AM Carbon 1's benefit in order that he might clearly understand the frame of reference which should prevail in his relationship with Rootman. In this review, AM Carbon 2 pointed out that it was the policy of Identity 3 that it would take no action which would purposely embarrass Kubark or its South Florida operations. As a result, if any embarrassing items relative to Kubark's operation in South Florida did come to the attention of the Identity 3, this material will be brought to Rootman's immediate attention. AM Carbon 2 made it clear that AM Carbon 1 that such items should be discussed with Rootman in a frank manner. In addition, AM Carbon 2 made the point that after an item is discussed, AM Carbon 1 should follow Rootman's guidance relative to how any particular embarrassing item might be handled by the Identity 3, so that it would not expose Kubark operations and at the same time would not jeopardize the journalistic reputation of Identity 3. Man, they're digging in. So they've been controlling the media for a long time. In addition, AM Carbon 2 pointed out that if AM Carbon 1 brought a potentially embarrassing item to Rootman's attention and remedial action on the matter was not taken by Rootman within a reasonable period of time, then the Identity 3 would feel free to expose any ineptness on Kubark's part. AM Carbon 2 pointed out that in return for this cooperation from the Identity 3, Rootman had agreed that he would be available for contact by telephone or periodic personal meetings at which AM Carbon 1 and AM Carbon 2 could discuss broad trends and developments in Latin American affairs. AM Carbon 2 and AM Carbon 1 advised AM Carbon 1 that this arrangement did not mean that AM Carbon 1 could expect to obtain any classified information from Rootman. The point was also made that AM Carbon 1 should not press for the obtaining of classified information, but he should be alert to steering tips which Rootman might furnish him on fast-breaking news stories. AM Carbon 1 indicated that he understood the frame of reference which had been outlined by AM Carbon 2. This frame of reference has prevailed throughout JM Wave's relationship with AM Carbon 1 during the period December 62 to March 64. AM Carbon 1's journalistic career. AM Carbon 1 originally started to work for the Identity 3 in 1957 on the city desk and subsequently advanced from his assignment to an assignment which entailed covering major political developments in Florida. At a later date, AM Carbon 1 became a feature writer for Identity 3. Then in August 1962, AM Carbon 1 was made the Identity 4. Oh, God. Okay. So he's now Identity 4. Oh, my God. The assignment was considered to be significant. Wow. That's crazy. Promotion for AM Carbon 1, and it reflected confidence in him by the Identity 3 management. Um, so stupid. Oh, these names, these nicknames and handles. AM Carbon 1 is by no means an expert on Latin America, but he is developing his knowledge on the area, and at the moment, he gives every indication of wanting to be a long term Latin American journalist. Q Delph has been questioned about AM Carbon 1, and he has indicated that AM Carbon 1 is regarded in the journalistic trade as an extremely likable fellow who has a keen mind, but who lacks experience in depth on Latin American affairs. It is Q Delph's opinion that given an appropriate lapse of time, AM Carbon 1 will develop into one of the leading Latin American specialists in the U.S. journalistic circuits. AM Carbon 1 has a working command of Spanish, and he is constantly attempting to improve his language fluency. It is Rootman's opinion that AM Carbon 1 has developed rapidly as a Latin American specialist, and he will continue to grow in this field. Thus, he is a contact who should be developed and harnessed for exploitation, bearing in mind that he does have long term potential. Love it. Love it. How would you like to read this later, man? I'm talking about exploiting you. Uh, Although he probably knew about it. AM Carbon 1's contacts and sources. In keeping with the traditional pattern of source protection, which is common to newspapermen, intelligence officers, and law enforcement officers, AM Carbon 1 attempts to guard the true identity of all his sources. On the other hand, when pressed, AM Carbon 1 has identified some of his sources to Rootman in order that meaningful evaluations could be made of the information which AM Carbon has passed to Kubark. I wonder if AM Carbon's actually his like initials. But there's name Carbon 1, name Carbon 2. Because Rootman's probably the guy's name. Kubark might be a name. I don't know. I don't know. As a result of these occasional writing identifications of sources and as a result of general conversations with AM Carbon 1, Rootman has learned that AIM Carbon 1 sources include the following persons: Luis Fernandez, yeah, Secretary General of the DRE. Right. He likes rap music. Chief of JURE, a defunct Havana Times, leader of the AAA. All right. Doing a little towing. Evan Lee of the Washington News Bureau. AM Carbon 1 regards this source as being particularly interesting in view of the fact that Leahy's daughter is a secretary in the Office of Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Oh boy, here we go. Let's see, freelance pilot and adventurer. I got it underlined. Public relations man for the MRR, governor of Puerto Rico, or president of Dominican Republic, Copley Wire Service, an employee of USIA in Miami. AM Carbon 1 is well aware of the fact that Volsky is a de facto stringer for Tad Zulk of the New York Times, but this does not deter AM Carbon 1 from attempting to exploit Volsky as a source of information. Operational support. On occasion, AM Carbon 1 is used to carry out certain operational support tasks. In such instances, AM Carbon 1 makes his inquiries or carries out the required action within the context of his normal journalistic activities. The use of AM Carbon 1 for operational support tasks enables JMWave to harness the investigative facilities of the Identity 3. Several examples of how AM Carbon 1 has been used in operational support tasks are outlined below. Andrew Camps. In March 1963, Andrew Camps, blah, 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 Cuba, arrived in Miami and was given routine CAC processing. The details of this processing are contained in, looks like a Miami file, dated 1963, March 1963. After being released by CAC, or Ordono was interviewed by Identity 3, and a sensational story was developed. In view of this story, Wave tried to locate Ordono for debriefing. This effort was not productive, but thus AM Carbon 1 was asked to locate Ordono. AM Carbon 1 did locate Ordono in Houston, Texas. So that's something he did. Discrediting Carlos Bandin of the MRR Splinter Group. Dated September 1963. Okay, so that's before he was killed, right? Headquarters suggests that Wave might be able to discredit Carlos Bandin Cruz of the MRR Splinter Group as a result of Bandin's overinflated claims relative to his faction invading Cuba. Headquarters' interest in discrediting Bandin was also stimulated by the fact that Bandin's irresponsible publicity stunts were causing problems for Ambidi. As a result of headquarters' interest in this matter, Rootman had a luncheon session with AM Carbon 1 on September 63. Okay, so we're getting closer to the assassination, right? At which AM Carbon 1 was advised that Bandin faction of the MRR was less than accurate in its claims relative to its activities in Cuba. In view of this, Rootman suggested that the Identity 3 might want to soft pedal any future war communiques with the Bandin faction, which the Bandin faction might release. AM Carbon 1 stated that, in view of Rootman's comments, the Identity 3 would not only soft pedal, but would ignore the Bandin faction in the future. Once Bandin was discredited with AM Carbon 1, the word was soon leaked by AM Carbon 1 to other newspapermen that Bandin was not a reliable source. As a result of this action, the Bandin group has received minimal media coverage in South Florida since September 1963. Wow, fuck that guy up. Fuck that one up. That's an op. Operational intelligence. In the period February 1963, February to February 1964, AM Carbon has furnished Wave with operational intelligence as outlined below. In Wave, whatever, dated 1963 February, AM Carbon reported that Ambend was back in Miami and was the object of a great deal of press interest in view of Ambend 1's release from Havana prison. AM Carbon also suggests that Ambend would probably be a knowledgeable source on the current activities of the UR in Cuba. This operational intelligence was most helpful in terms of keeping Wave informed on Ambend 1's movements. Subsequent developments revealed that AM Carbon 1 could not contact Ambend 1, and Ambend 1's return to the United States did not cause the publicity stir that was initially anticipated. In Wave 6176, dated March of 63, AM Carbon reported that the Identity 3 was attempting to research a full feature article on the Bay of Pigs invasion. The intent of this article was to furnish a recapitulation of the entire tactical situation. In this connection, AM Carbon 1 pointed out that he was thinking about exposing the role of Miami attorney Alex E. Carlson, residing, Miami Springs, Florida, in the Bay of Pigs operation. AM Carbon 1 stated that if Carlson were of any current interest to Rootman, the Identity 3 would soft pedal the Carlson angle. Rootman advised AM Carbon 1 he had no interest in Carlson, but knew of him and was of the opinion Carlson was a sound and honest attorney. The receipt of this operational intelligence enabled Wave to brief Carlson on Identity 3's overall interest in the role that Carlson had played in the Bay of Pigs invasion. This briefing in turn enabled Carlson to more adequately prepare himself for a meeting with AM Carbon. Wow, stabbed him in the back. All right. some Game of Thrones shit here. While Aim Carbon did attempt to pursue this Bay of Pigs story, he never did put anything into print, as the story was overtaken by other developments before Aim Carbon 1 could finish his research. Okay, in Wave whatever, dated July 63, Aim Carbon advised James Wave that Mr. Trevor Armbrister, an associate editor for the Saturday Evening Post, was in Miami during July of 1963, attempting to research a story regarding the possibility that strategic missiles were hidden in Cuban caves. This information enabled James Webb to keep headquarters informed on sensational type articles which might be appearing relative to Soviet missiles in Cuba. In whatever, dated 20 September 1963, Aim Carbon and gave JM Wave his resume of the discussions which he had with A.M. Biddy at the Miami Playboy Club on September 1963. This information was useful in obtaining an insight into the A.M. Biddy one was into what he was telling the press. Dated October 63, Aim Carbon reported on a discussion that he had on in October 1963 with A.M. Biddy's public relations man. The operational intelligence was useful in terms of keeping Kubark advised as to what A.M. Biddy 1's representatives were telling the outside world about their operational activities. Let's see, October 63, Aim Carbon 1 informed James Wave about the flood of telephone calls which were being received at the Identity 3 relative to so-called Kubark vessel, which were located in South Florida waters. Kubark vessels. This information alerted James Wave to the fact that press scrutiny was going to be directed towards the Identity 5. Armed with this warning, James Wave was able to take action, which minimized the publicity repercussions for renewed press interest in Identity 5. It's crazy. This is all like propaganda espionage. Dated November 1963, Aim Carbon 1 reported to James Wave the fact that he'd received a letter from Peru which contained an interesting operational lead to one Carlos Montalbano in Peru. This lead was examined by James Wave's headquarters and the Lima station. This examination revealed that the letter was written by a crackpot. Thus, there was no real operational potential in this lead. This incident did underscore, the fact that Aim Carbon 1 is willing to bring potentially significant operational leads to James Wave's attention. In, dated February 1964, Aim Carbon advised James Wave that he had received numerous telephone calls indicating that Armando Andres Forte, who had defected from Cuba, a Cuban fishing vessel, might be an individual who had previously been seen in Miami during November and December 1963. Okay, at the same time, Aim Carbon pointed out that he was suspicious and thought that these telephone calls indicate that Girola was not a bona fide defector, was either a GOC agent or a Kubark plant. What is Kubark? Who was being used as a means creating... See, I thought Kubark was a name, but it don't sound like that's what that is. What is Kubark? Counterintelligence... Kubark, counterintelligence interrogation. Kubark was a U.S. Central Intelligence Agency cryptonym for the CIA. Okay, so it's CIA. Cryptonym Kubark appeals in the title. Okay, so Kubark is the CIA. Who was being used as a means of creating an incident which would embarrass the GOC. As a result of their fishing boats penetrating United States territorial waters, Rootman advised Aim Carbon that Kubark had played no role in mounting a provocation operation against the GOC. At the same time, Rubin pointed out that it was highly unlikely that Girola was a GOC agent. As a result of this conversation, arrangements were made for JM Wave to check out certain aspects of the Girola story. At the same time, Aim Carbon was prevailed upon not to write a story which might lead to the public to speculate on whether Girola was an agent or a plant in a propaganda play designed to embarrass the GOC. Shit. I can't believe that they that they were actually this far up the ass of the media. Aim Carbon 1 has been used successfully during the period covered by this report as a propaganda outlet through which items of interest to Kubark, CIA, could be surfaced in the free world press. Examples of Aim Carbon has been harnessed in this field are outlined below. Jesus Christ. You got to be fucking kidding me. So the CIA is using this guy to leak information, literally leak information. That's what it sounds like. The Amcrab 1 defection story originally surfaced in the Miami area in October 1963 via the Diario de las Americas, which played up an API released from Montevideo. The API Montevideo story highlighted Amcrab's 1's information relative to GOC activities in Uruguay. The story in the Diario de las Americas had an extremely limited impact to Spanish readers in the Miami area. As a result, it was decided to do a series of feature stories on Amcrab, pointing up the fact that Amcrab was typical of the veterans of the Granma expedition who felt they had been betrayed by Castro and had been relegated to positions of obscurity once the revolution had put Castro in power. Aim Carbon 1 was briefed in detail on Amcrab 1 story, and he was given an opportunity to debrief Amcrab 1 under controlled conditions in a JM Wave safe house. Jesus fuck. Oh my God, they're spreading propaganda. After completing his debriefing, Aim Carbon 1 wrote a series of feature articles on Amcrab. The first article in this series received front page headline play. The series of articles in Amcrab were well written, and they provided an excellent peg for JM Wave to mount a replay operation via other propaganda assets. Am Carbon 1 story on Amcrab 1 was picked up by UPI, API, and others. And is that Associated Press? I wonder. And it was played throughout the Latin America. The details of this resurfacing can be found in 1963. Charles Griffin shrimp boat story. All right, February 64. I mean, what? I don't know. I don't know what any of this got to do with JFK though. As far as this stuff goes, February 1964, JM Wave learned that when Mr. Charles Griffin's sons went to Cuba to reclaim the hijacked shrimp boat, Johnny Reb. Jesus, these names. Oh, these fucking names. Oh my God. Oh, they found that select items were missing from the boat when it was turned over to them. It was believed that this information would make a good human interest story, which JM Wave assets could, geez, my throat tonight, could use to counter GOC propaganda claims. The United States official had stolen items from the Cuban fishing boats, which have violated United States territorial waters. In view of this opinion, a steering tip was given to Aim Carbon to have the Identity 3 representative in the Key West interview, Mr. Griffin. This interview was carried out, and the article outlined the points which were of interest to JM Wave. It was published in the edition of whatever of the Identity 3. So Identity 3 is a publication. This Identity, it looks like Identity 3 might be a publication. edition of the Identity 3. Huh. All right. Let's see. LAYC story. March 64, LAYC meeting in Santiago, Chile, was not receiving appropriate coverage in the South Florida newspapers. As a result, Rittman contacted A.M. Carvin on 5th of March 1964, suggested that LAYC meeting was a story which the Identity 3 should pursue. A.M. Carvin was grateful for this steering tip, and he assigned the task of preparing the story on the LAYC to one of the members of his staff. The story in the LAYC was subsequently published in March 64 edition of the Identity 3. Copies of the article cited in paragraphs thorough C above are attached to headquarters for headquarters information. Shit. Positive intelligence. I mean, this is crazy, dude. This is like, whew. I mean, to me, this is a big deal, dude. This is basically the FBI and the CIA working together to create propaganda. That's, I mean, we know they do shit like that, but this is like the admission of that. This is crazy. Positive intelligence attempts have been made to obtain disseminable positive intelligence from AM Carbon 1 during the period covered by this report. This attempt has been generally unsuccessful in that AM Carbon 1 does not have a great number of contacts in Latin America who would give him access to worthwhile intelligence appreciably in advance of the information appearing in the overt press. As a result, AM Carbon 1 is usually not aware of inside developments in any Latin American country. Consequently, he is not a worthwhile source of positive intelligence. As a matter of fact, AM Carbon 1 is less valuable as a source of positive intelligence than most journalists. This is attributable solely to the lack of long-standing contacts in the Latin American political scene. It is believed that AM Carbon 1 will ultimately overcome this shortcoming. Thus, we will continue to attempt to harness him for collection of positive intelligence. Comment. In the period covered by this report, AM Carbon 1 has been found to be a straightforward individual who is honest, cooperative, and who understands the need for security. Our relationship also indicates that AM Carbon 1 is an accurate reporter of that information which he passes to Kubark, the CIA. In view of this, JMWave plans to continue to harness AM Carbon 1 in the same manner that he has been used in the past. It is believed that our relationship with AM Carbon 1 enhances our ability to conduct our operational mission in a secure manner. In addition, this relationship tends to minimize the possibility that JMWave might have difficulties with the media outlets in the South Florida area. As a result of our continuing relationship with AM Carbon 1, a special activities report will be forwarded at appropriate intervals. It's requested that 201 number be assigned to this fucking dude. Oh my God. Identities. The Miami News. Sunland Training Center. Okay, so Identity 1 is Miami News. He kept talking about Identity 3, so it's Miami Herald. Identity 4, Latin American editor. So that's an actual person. He didn't use Identity 2 very much. Sunland Training Center for Retarded Children. Wow, they even used the word retarded back then. That's crazy. I think he used Identity 5 a couple times. I don't know what the LEDA is. All right. Let's see. AM Carbon 1, you got a 201 number, homie. It's crazy. Oh, well, let me see what the next one looks like because I may not want to go. I don't want to go through another fucking million pages. All right, next one's not too bad. So that was interesting. It had nothing to do with JFK, like whatsoever, that I noticed, but it was interesting. It's interesting to see what they were doing. At least to me, I thought it was interesting. It's one of the most interesting things I've seen in this so far. Let's see. So report Georgia's whatever. 2 pages. So that's cool. All right, I'm gonna have to increase this. The information this report is obtained from a local detective who works for the National Police. An informant of the police in Paris provided the report to the letter censoring activities of the Colombian delegation. He added names of delegates of certain other countries. This informant is studying in Paris, and he accompanied the delegates to Berlin. It is likely that the interest stations have this information, but it is thought it might serve to confirm or possibly add a bit to the material already on hand. Let's see. Bogota. Don't see anything really. 1952? Date acquired? 1952. Yeah, shit. It's old school, man. Local detective source reports that informant in Paris has submitted information to the local police concerning delegates of certain other countries to the 3 Festival Mundial de la Juventud held in Berlin in August and September 1951. These names together with, God, dude, they're holding that shit in Berlin 6 years after. So that would be what, Russia controlled 6 years after the war. These names together with the compliments of the informant are included in the following paragraphs. The delegation of Guatemala consists of the following. The following is a list of Venezuelan delegates. Okay. Ecuador. Yeah. Cuba. All our enemies. That's nice. All the people don't like us. Okay, well, that's why they're interested in that. That doesn't tell us nothing. What's got to do with JFK, man? You know, I mean, it's interesting that you have the Venezuelans going to, let's see, that dude was out of office by this time, wasn't he? Yeah, he was out of office. That's interesting that the Venezuelans, of all people, man, after supposedly, allegedly, Hitler or some of his cronies vanished down there after the war. Well, some of them definitely did, but some of the high-ranking ones that people are claiming, and who knows? That stupid hunting Hitler fucking video or show series I watched it was interesting, but it was kind of stupid. Call from John French of DCD concerning Frank Sturgis. Following information was provided to John French by his DCD Miami office on 23rd of August. The information was given to DCD Miami office by a contact not identified on 23rd of August, who obtained it from Oscar Freely. Freely is writing a book on Frank Sturgis. Let's see, when is this? 1976. Sturgis is to appear on the Tomorrow Show. They had a Tomorrow Show? 2 a.m. At 2 a.m.? Jesus. On 24th of August. I hope it's not 2 a.m. local time. I hope that's 2 a.m. whatever time, which is to be narrated by Tom Schneider. Sturgis just recently returned to Miami from taping the show in New York. While in New York, Sturgis saw Marita Lorenz and obtained from her a book which, according to the source, appeared to be cryptographic material and seemed to relate to Albania. The DCD source saw a few copies of what he described as mathematical matrix material. Sturgis currently, today, 23rd of August, is attempting to contact Senator Baker to turn over the material to him. DCD plans to ask the source to monitor the situation and advise whether the material, in fact, is turned over to Baker. Whole lot of fucking nothing. Told told John French that DCD should alert ADDO and Phil Fendig. Yeah, whole lot of fucking nothing there. Not sure what the hell that was about. At least these are all short. Since they're short, I'll go through them. Let's see. So we're talking about 1959, tape recorded conversation with, I don't know what that is, and between Mr. William D. Pauley and an unidentified Cuban during period of 17th to 18th of October. On 20th of October, the undersigned and Owen Faust of WH3 listed to the playback of a tape brought to Washington from, is that M1? And given to Colonel King, Mr. Pauley, on 19th of October, which was recording of Mr. Pauley's conversation with two Cubans during the period of 17th of October. The first conversation was with an unidentified Cuban believed to be a member of a group of wealthy anti-Castro Cubans, members of which have talked to Mr. Pauley recently about their plans for sabotage of the coming sugar harvest, as reported in, whatever, dated 2nd of October. The second Cuban was Paca, a Cuban journalist of operational interest to Station Havana. Looks like Habana, but it's Havana. And separate memorandum is submitted on that conversation. The unidentified Cuban, who had somewhat of an accent, spoke indistinctly, was difficult to understand. He mentioned a meeting with some of our people who came up from Cuba to discuss plans. He said his group had been contacted by a representative of General Jose Pedraza, leader of Cuban revolutionary groups in the Dominican Republic, who wanted to know what action their group had taken and was told that they had a plan to start sabotage. The Cuban said the Pedraza representative said their group, the Pedraza group, had 4 provinces organized in Cuba, mentioning Camagüey and Santa Clara, and that they had 2 provinces yet to be organized, Havana and Matanzas. The Cuban says the group needed 2 things: moral backing, okay, and money. He pointed out that Cubans in Cuba aren't afraid to start an underground movement, and there's no way to raise funds, etc. Mr. Foley gave him no encouragement on the money angle, saying that even if there were Americans willing to run the risk of becoming involved in Cuban revolutionary activities by furnishing money for such a movement, which he doubted, he felt that the present time, it would be like putting money down a rat hole for the following reasons. 1, there is no unity among the anti-Castro groups, and there are at least 10 that he knows of who are working absolutely independent of one another. And 2, Castro is in control of the country and has the support of a large number of Cubans, especially the underprivileged. Mr. Pauley said he felt the Cuban economic situation was worsening fast, that if it gets bad enough, a large number of Cubans will turn on Castro. But until that time, it would be dangerous to try to organize a revolutionary movement. Let's see. Mr. Pauley asked Cuban if his group felt they had moral support of the U.S., and the Cuban replied that if they wanted U.S. moral support, but whether they had it or not, they felt they were obliged to carry through with their plans. So Pauley said he didn't know what to tell him, would have to think about it and see if anything could be done. He said, having been connected with the U.S. government, I can't get involved in revolutionary movements. Also said he would hate to see the Dominican government get involved, which might be difficult to avoid with so many Cuban exiles there, but commented that he understood the Dominican government hasn't given them a dime. Martha Thorpe. Huh. It's a lot of Cuban, Bay of Pig stuff so far. Ton of Bay of Pig stuff. Or the build-up. That was part of the build-up. Let's see. Let's share this. Microfilm. In 83? But this is from 1958. To Chief WHD from Chief of Station Ciudad Trujillo, General Operational Poly Business Interests in Dominican Republic. Okay, now we're going to talk to the Dominicans for info only. In addition to minerals exploitation, in which Mr. Williams Poly has substantial investments, negotiations are being concluded for the purchase of Poly of the Hotel Hamaca in Boca Chica, a resort town near almost completed new international airport, about 30 kilometers east of Ciudad Trujillo. Another activity which is kept very much under wraps is all the concession granted Poly for procurement and the worldwide sale of all new issues of Dominican postage stamps. This activity is managed by Edward Poly, brother of William D. Poly, whose office is in the Dominican Post Office building. The source considered sensitive of the information in paragraph 2 is Miss Nora, a U.S. citizen employed by Poly in the stamp business. The source volunteered the information on a very confidential basis to Helene at a social gathering. So heard someone say something at a gathering. This chick said something. That's special. A lot of this is just that, dude. Fuck. This isn't evidence. It's like, yeah, we heard someone say something. Let's see. So, all right. At least we got something about Lee Harvey Oswald here, from M.D. Stevens. According to a newspaper column of Allen and Scott, the Chicago American of December 1963, on the Oswald case, Abram Chayes, legal officer of the State Department, was one of two persons immediately responsible for Oswald's being permitted to return to the United States from the Soviet Union in June of 1962. The other individual name was Thompson, the then ambassador to Russia. Another said to have been involved in the handling of Oswald's case was Samuel Wise, counsel to the American Embassy in Moscow. So, Abram Chayes is legal officer of the State Department. So, legal officer of the State Department, ambassador of Russia, and counsel of the American Embassy. So, in Moscow. So you got, what's that? Two lawyers? Yeah, two lawyers, and the ambassador. If it's legit, that's crazy. Abram Chayes, who, as of February 1961, was described as the new counsel in state, was granted security approval for liaison contact with J. Foster Collins in the Office of Chief of the Covert Action Staff. Okay, so this guy's kind of got some, weird ties. In 61, the request for Chayes clearance was a blanket request to permit discussion with him of whatever matters on a need-to-know basis. In September 61, there was a White House name check request on Chayes' wife, Antonia Lee Chayes. In March 62, Chayes was granted a renewal of his liaison contact clearance on a continuing basis. Time contact was Archibald Roosevelt Jr. Interesting. On 10th February 1962, Human Events reported as follows with reference to Chayes. Soft on communism. Representative Francis E. Walter, chairman of the House Committee of Un-American Activities. Wow, that's a thing. House Committee on Un-American. I think it's still a thing. I think Trump's been using that lately. House Committee on Un-American Activity. That's crazy. Has scored the new State Department regulations on passports, claiming they would allow Reds denied passports to rifle free. Wait, claiming they would allow Reds denied passports to rifle freely the confidential files of the FBI, the CIA, and other investigative agencies. What does that sentence even mean? Claiming they would allow Reds denied passports. So, but then to rifle freely, that's a weird sentence, man. That don't make a lot of sense. Let's see, has scored the new State Department regulations on passports, claiming they would allow Reds denied passports to rifle freely the confidential files of the FBI, the CIA, and other investigative agencies. I don't understand that. The man behind new regulations, which Walter claims violate the International Security Act of 1950, is reportedly state's chief legal officer, Abram Chase. Chase, a Kennedy appointee, is an ex-Harvard professor who was Chester Bowles' top legal advisor when Bowles was governor of Connecticut. Walter has introduced legislation to remedy the new passport regulations. Samuel Wise, counsel to the American Embassy in Moscow, who is referred to above, may well be Samuel Griffins Wise Jr., who, Social Security, it's like, who apparently was a once contract employee on AE Active. The State Department reviews Wise file June 54, and as of September 62, a Samuel G. Wise was second secretary of the American Embassy in Moscow. At that time, Wise advised in a cable to the State Department. Davis' case is very similar to that of Oswald. And he, like Oswald, lived in the Soviet Union for 2 years after its defection and prior to making application for his return to the United States. So one guy was a good boy, so they let Oswald back in. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Wise was an applicant for CIA employment in early 53 and was security approved subject to polygraph in 53. He did not enter on duty in September of 53, the office which had been interested in him was no longer interested. Oh my God, it sucks. On November 53, Wise was granted a CSA to permit his use as a contract employee on AE Active in New York City. His CSA was canceled on security, is that security something? Security administration or something? Wise was named as a friend of William Orville Munsell during an investigation of the latter for possible CIA employment in 1952. Wise, according to Munsell's landlady and social acquaintance in Washington, D.C., during the period of about a year, which ended in April 52, was the only person she knew by name with whom Munsell was friendly. According to the informant, Wise was a student at Columbia University whose address was, who cares? Munsell was security disapproved for CIA employment in June of 52 because of his close association on a professional and social basis while attending Denver University from 46-51 with persons of questionable loyalty. On November 54, Munsell was of interest to Project FJ Alive with reference to assignments to Saudi Arabia. However, the interested office withdrew their request on him after security advised of the derogatory information regarding him. Wise, from 51 to 54, attended Scarsdale High School, Scarsdale, New York, which was attacked by a citizens group, which alleged communist influence in the school system. He had several questionable associates in addition to Munsell. So he was a commie. At least that's what it sounds like. They didn't like him because he was a commie. Oh my God, this is 19 pages. And this is 201 system. Fuck no. I am not going through this. Let's see if this has anything new. If it doesn't have anything new, I'm just going to skip right through this fucking thing because this is the last thing I'm going to do tonight. 1974. So here's the 201 system. 201 system. The manual for the 201 system. It's the same shit. Same fucking thing. Like they got all these like rules to like get rid of like redundant shit within these programs. They can't freaking get rid of redundancy within their own files. The fuck, man. Yeah, this is all the same shit. It's all the exact same shit. So I started with this. I'm going to end with this shit. But I ain't reading it. I'm not reading this again. Fuck this. I mean, I'm going to forget all this anyway. So it's like, why even bother? I mean, it just, all this tells me is like, this is why the FBI and the CIA are fucked up. Like, no wonder, like, they know about school shooters and then, you know, months before they actually do something. It's like, dude, this is all the crap they got to deal with. Like, if you want to sit here and put somebody on like one of these little lists, this 201 list or whatever, you got to go through all this shit. This is fucking crazy. If you don't do it right, then they, you know, I forget what it said they did with it, but they like sidetrack it. Basically, it stays at that office, and then somebody's got to okay it, and then it becomes non-classified because you didn't classify it by putting black tape on it or whatever. It's just crazy, dude. Shit's stupid. Yeah, that's the end of that. Thank God, dude. I did not want to go through another page of that shit, but it's all the same stuff, so that's cool. All right. Well, that's it for this one, man. Yeah. That kind of sucked, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, there wasn't much there. That's just a whole lot of that was a whole lot of stuff about the Cuban stuff. I mean, it is interesting though that to see. I mean, the FBI and the CIA. Well, the FBI spell out how they're manipulating the media. Even back then, that's crazy. The newspapers, that's crazy. I mean, I wonder, like, when someone like Rupert Murdoch buys a newspaper, like, I wonder if like the government has a hand in that. You know, knowing what you know with stuff like this has been going on since what, the 50s. I wonder if like, since the government can't own the newspaper, because you know constitutionally that would be a huge no. If like the government has like assets where they sit there and they say, hey man, you know, you're a rich guy, we're gonna have you buy a newspaper because you're a good American, right? You're gonna do what's right for America, man. We're gonna let you know what's right for America when it comes time, dude. But you're gonna do what's right for America, right? So we'll help you out a little bit, man. We'll give you some taxpayer money for this shit. I don't know, man. I wonder. I'm curious. Anyway, that's it for this, man. 2 hours. I only meant to do an hour, but it's all good. Anyway, bro, I think you're probably the only one in here. So have a good night, man. And see you on the next one.